Towards the medical room was unusually quiet. Taehyung had finally regained consciousness. A piece of water was shoved under his nose after the minor nose bleed he had gotten from the shock. He sat on the bed with an expression that looked as though his soul had left his body. Jimin and Jungkook stood beside him. Neither of them looked sympathetic. Jimin curses out Jimin. Your reputation is officially ruined. Taehyung glanced at him. Jimin continued mercilessly. The entire campus is laughing because you fainted after seeing your exam result. Jungkook couldn't hold back agreeing. Jungkook, I had to cover my face with a handkerchief while bringing you here. He proudly pulled a handkerchief out of his pocket. I couldn't let people recognize me. Taehyung showed him a teddy bear. Taehyung, we both are terrible friends. Before either of them could reply, footsteps echoed outside the room. All three looked toward the door. You walked in first. Behind you were Yuna, Suzy, and Mina. A bright smile spread across your face the moment you saw Taehyung sitting up. Without saying a word, you walked over and handed him a huge bouquet of flowers. Why, congratulations. Then looked at the bouquet, then slowly looked back at you. Taehyung, for what? You bring innocently wine. Oh, I thought people usually receive flowers after a memorable event. You treated your head with an exaggerated smile, although you pretended to think maybe I should have brought them for myself instead. Jimin bit his lip to stop himself from laughing. Jungkook quietly looked away. You folded your arms. Anyway, you smiled victoriously. I own. Taehyung closed his eyes for a second, as if trying to accept reality. He continued. According to our bet, you raised one finger. Starting now until this exact time tomorrow, he looked him straight in the eyes. For the next 24 hours, you will do whatever I tell you. Silence filled the room. Taehyung's sister. During the entire exam month, he had imagined countless ways to make you regret challenging him. He had been so confident that he would win, but now, every single one of those plans had turned to dust. The loser was him. His pride took another painful hit. After a long silence, you finally sighed, Taehyung, fine. Your smile grew even wider. Man, good. Jimin slowly looked at Jungkook. Jungkook looked back at him. Neither of them said a word, but both silently prayed for Taehyung because, judging by the mischievous sparkles in your eyes, the next 24 hours were going to be absolute torture. Meanwhile, Taehyung looked at your triumphant smirk and let out a quiet sigh. The next morning, the 24-hour punishment finally began. You had been looking forward to this moment ever since the exam results were announced. Meanwhile, Taehyung had never regretted losing an exam more than in his life. The next day shopping mall, Taehyung stood outside a clothing store, while several shopping bags already hanging from both hands. His expression was completely blank. You, on the other hand, looked happier than ever. You walked out of the fitting room wearing another dress. Why? How do you think? You tried once in front of the mirror. I like this color. You smiled at your reflection. It suits me and I don't have anything in this shade. You pointed directly at Taehyung. Like this one too. The salesgirl politely nodded before taking the dress. Of course, ma'am. A few minutes later, she returned with a neatly packed shopping bag. Instead of handing it to you, she gave it directly to Taehyung. Salesgirl, here you go, sir. Then she smiled brightly. You should bring your girlfriend shopping more often. They are always the happiest customers. Have a wonderful day. He almost choked. Girlfriend? Before he could explain, you had already walked out of the store as if you had not heard a thing. Taehyung clenched his jaw. Unbelievable. Carrying every single shopping bag, he hurried after you. A few stores later, you stood in front of another clothing display. You had up two dresses, one yellow, one blue. You looked at Taehyung. One. Which one looks better? Taehyung sighed. The yellow one. You nodded thoughtfully. One. Then the blue one is definitely better. He stared at you. Taehyung, why did you even ask me? You smiled innocently. Why? No reason. You handed him the blue dress. Go, pay for it. Then you casually walked away again. Taehyung looked toward the ceiling. He seriously questioned every life decision that had brought him to this moment. Since morning, you had taken him absolutely everywhere. First, You made him walk all the way to your house while carrying your bags. After that, you dragged him to an ice cream parlor because it was too hot outside. Then, you decided you wanted to go shopping. And now, he was already looking for the next place to torture him. Taehyung started falling behind with enough shopping bags to open his own clothing store. Suddenly you stop walking, your eyes sparkled. While you pointed excitedly, a photo studio. Before Taehyung could react, you grabbed his wrist. Come on, Taehyung, you don't. Too late, you had already dragged him inside. A few minutes later, you placed a pair of fluffy bunny ears on his head. While there, you stepped back to admire your work. So cute. His eyes twisted. Taehyung, I'm not wearing this. While you are, Taehyung, I refuse. You folded your arms. While remember our deal? Taehyung went completely silent. Exactly, he couldn't refuse. A few moments later, flash, the camera kept clinking. You laughed non-stop while posing beside him. Meanwhile, he looked like someone attending his own funeral. When the final pictures was taken, he immediately removed the bunny ears. He looked at you seriously. Taehyung, these photos, not a single one should ever see the light of day. You shrugged. What if they do? Taehyung, no, he answered, screamed instantly. Absolutely not. You grinned mischievously. Why, too bad. You proudly held up the printed photos. Today belongs to me. I can do whatever I want. Taehyung sighed deeply. Taehyung, right. He had no argument against that. Then a mischievous idea suddenly appeared in your smile. The smile on your face became even more suspicious. He immediately felt uneasy. Taehyung, why are you smiling like that? You ignored the question. Instead, you clapped your hands. Well, I have decided. We're going to club tonight. From a club? You nodded excitedly. Well, I need to get ready first. You removed your purse from one of the shopping bags. You took all these bags to my house. Give them to the security guard. I will meet you afterward. Before he could say a single word, you waved him cheerfully. Bye, Mr. Dark. I walked to the roadside, hailed a taxi, got inside, and disappeared into traffic. Then we were standing in front of the shopping mall, holding what felt like half of yours whereabouts. He looked at the mountain of shopping bags, then at the taxi that had already vanished. The nightclub was as lively as ever. Music thundered through the speakers while colorful lights flashed across the crowded dance floor. Susie, Mina, and Taehyung were seated in one of the VIP booths. The girls chatted happily, laughing over random stories from university. Meanwhile, Taehyung sat with his arms crossed, looking like he had been forced into prison. He still couldn't understand why you had dragged him to a club. You hadn't given him a single task for almost an hour. You simply kept him sitting there. Yuna glanced at the clock. Yuna, it's getting really late. She looked at the others. We should head home. You waved your hand dismissively. Well, relax, stay a little longer. You smiled. I ordered more food. Almost on cue, a waiter arrived carrying several dishes. He carefully placed them on the table. He looked toward Taehyung while Mr. Kim. Taehyung slowly raised his eyes. Pass me the drink. Without saying a word, he slid the glass across the table. Everyone exchanged awkward glances. He looked as though he was suppressing the urge to strangle someone. You, on the other hand, acted as if everything was perfectly normal. After taking a sip, you suddenly stood up. Well, I will be back. Mina, where are you going? She asked. Wine washroom. I will only be a minute. You walked away, disappearing into the hallway. After a few minutes later, you stepped out of the restroom. As you adjusted your hair, a familiar voice stopped you in your track. Oh, well. You smiled, insist vanished. You slowly turned around in hope. The anger you had buried weeks ago returned immediately while you smiled confidently in her heart. You thought you could humiliate me in front of everyone and I would just let it go. You folded your arms while you deserved every second of it. You cheated on me and still acted like you were innocent. Into rolled his eyes, and why would not I? His expression hardened. You never even let me touch you. What was I supposed to do? You stared at him in disbelief. One, so cheating was your solution. Before Inho could answer, another voice interrupted. Inho. Both men, woman wearing a glamorous black dress, walked toward them. She wrapped one arm around Inho's. Inho, what are you doing here? He immediately smiled. Inho, oh, he looked at you with obvious satisfaction. Meet my girlfriend, Momo. Momo smiled politely. Hi. She glanced at you. And who is she? Inho's lips curled into a smug smile. Inho, my ex, Momo. Oh, she nodded casually. Nice to meet you. She looked back at you. Inho, so, he chuckled. You still haven't found a boyfriend. I guess nobody wants you. He laughed at his own joke. Your face squeezed. Your bad boy, and then, out of the corner of her eye, he noticed someone walking toward them. Damn, he had probably come looking for you after you had been gone too long. An idea flashed through your mind. Before he could think twice, you grabbed his by the front of his shirt. He looked completely confused. Damn, what are you? Before he could finish, you pulled him closer and kissed him. It was sudden, impulsive, a whiff of unmistakable kiss meant to shock in her rather than express affection. Time seemed to stop. Taehyung's eyes widened. His entire body froze. His mind went completely blank. Behind them, Yuna, Suzy, and Mina had just arrived. The three girls spotted dead in their rags. Their jaws literally dropped. Yuna whispered, What? Suzy, just happened. Suzy blinked several times, convinced she was hallucinating. Mina sweat covered her mouth. Mina, no way. Across from them, Ninja's confused mind disappeared instantly. His expression stiffened as he stared at the unexpected sight. He immediately let go of the young's arms. Only then did he finally come back to reality. He stared at you in disbelief. Then you. You looked at him. What? He pointed at himself. Then my. He paused, still unable to believe it. My first kiss. His voice was static. You actually stole my first kiss. Breathe. The alcohol had clearly affected your judgment. You rubbed the back of your neck awkwardly. While I. There wasn't any other way. He gave him a smile, apologetic smile. Thanks for showing up at the right time. Otherwise, that idiot would have kept talking. You waved your hand carelessly. Anyway, the challenge is over. You don't have to keep following me anymore. You can go home. They stood there in complete silence. He had imagined countless endings to this ridiculous 24-hour punishment, but none of them involved losing his first kiss. You, meanwhile, had already had more drinks than you could handle. You swayed slightly as you grabbed your purse. Well, okay, I'm leaving. Without waiting for a reply, you stumbled toward the exit. Your steps were unsteady as you disappeared from the room. Then you were frozen. The 4 minutes passed. Then he slowly touched his lips. His eyes twisted. Yeah, my first kiss. He flexed his fist. First she destroyed my car while she was drunk. Then she made me carry shopping bags all the day. And now, he took a deep breath. She stole my first kiss. His jaws tightened. I'm definitely not letting her get away with this. Behind him, Suzy, Mina, and Yuna exchanged helpless looks. They knew exactly what had happened. You hadn't planned any of it. You was emotional, you was drunk, and you had acted without thinking. Yuna sighed before stepping forward. Yuna, we are really sorry. Susie bowed apologetically. Susie, she wasn't thinking clearly. If she had been sober, she would have never done something like that. Mina nodded in agreement. Mina, please don't take it too hard. They looked at the three girls for a long moment. He didn't say a single word. His unusual expression made them even more nervous. After a few seconds, he simply turned around and walked away without another glance. The girls released the breath they had been holding. Mina, he is definitely angry, she muttered. Susie, very angry, she agreed. Yuna looked toward the club entrance where Eve had already left. Yuna, I just hope one remembers what she did tomorrow. This morning, he walked into the classroom with her usual carefree expression. The moment he sat down and noticed something strange, Susie, Mina, and Yuna were unusually quiet, no listening, no jokes, no laughter. Why frown? What happened? Look at them one by one. Why were you acting so weird? Mina exchanged a glance with the others before speaking. Mina, why? Do you remember anything you did last night? While being last night, you tried to think. Shopping, the club, a few drinks, then nothing. You slowly shook your head. Why no? What did I do? Susie sighed. You seriously don't remember? You looked even more confused. Why, not at all. The three girls spent the next few minutes recounting everything that had happened, from meeting in hall to introducing Taehyung as a boyfriend to the case. Your eyes grew wider with every second. By the end of the story, your interface had turned bright red. While I did all that, you noted every single bit of it. You buried your face in your hands while, oh my god, I actually kissed him. Many sighed, yes, and not just a little, you let out a muffled groan. While I am never drinking again, Yuna immediately pointed at you. Yuna, you would better not. Every time you drink, something unbelievable happens. You slowly lifted your head while so slowed down her stick. What do I do now? Susie shrugged. We honestly don't know. At that moment, the classroom door opened, then walked in. The room instinctively became quieter. You Stephen was eyes met for a brief second normally. One of you would have started an argument immediately, but today neither of you spoke. Then simply walked past you and said in his seat, without even looking back, you closed your eyes. An awkward silence settled between you two. A week later, nothing had changed. You and Taehyung hadn't exchanged a single word. No argument, no sarcastic comments, no challenges. The silence between you two somehow felt stranger than both constant fighting. Even Jimin and Jungkook found it unsettling. Jungkook, I kind of miss them arguing, he whispered. Jimin nodded. This is creepy. When the lecture began, the professor entered the classroom carrying a stack of papers. Professor, good morning. I have decided to give you all a surprise quiz. A chorus of disappointed groans filled the room. No complaints. Silver goes to the examination hall. Professor began handing one of the question sheets. Soon the classroom became completely silent. Everyone focused on writing. Pens stretched across the paper. The only sound was the ticking of the wall clock. 5 minutes later, the professor slowly walked between the rows, observing the students. When he reached your face, he suddenly stopped. His eyes narrowed. Professor, what is this? He looked up in confusion. Wine? He pointed toward the floor beneath his desk. You followed his gaze. A folded piece of paper lay beside your foot. One frowned. I don't know, sir. I didn't notice it. He picked it up and unfolded. His expression instantly darkened. It was filled with handwritten formulas and answers, a cheating sheet. The classroom fell silent. He looked at you with obvious disappointment. Professor, I never expected this from you. Your eyes written in panic. Well, sir, I swear I didn't bring that. I don't even know where it came from. He folded the paper and walked toward the classroom door. His voice echoed through the room. Professor, meanwhile, he opened the door. Principal's office, now. You felt every pair of eyes in the classroom turn toward you. Whispers immediately spread through the room. Did she really cheat? I can't believe it. She was one of the top students. You creased your face. You knew you hadn't done anything. But at that moment, no one seemed willing to believe you. You walked into the principal's office with trembling hands. The principal sat behind his desk, the cheat sheet laying in front of him. He looked at you calmly. Principal, is there anything you would like to say regarding this accusation? You took a deep breath. Well, sir, that paper isn't mine. I don't know how it got there. The sir picked up the folded sheet. Principal, the problem is the handwriting on this paper matches yours. Well frowned. What? He handed the paper to you. You stared at it. Yours heart skipped a beat. It really did look exactly like yours handwriting. For a moment even he was speechless. Why, but he looked up with teary eyes. This isn't mine, sir, I swear. Principal signed. I have already contacted your parents. They should be here soon. You wrote your head, your mind raced. Suddenly an idea struck you. Well, sir, he looked up. We can see the CCTV footage. He gave you an helpless smile. Principal, we already read your expression froze. The examination hall was monitored. A few minutes before the exam began, he folded his hands. Someone wearing a hoodie entered the room. The person's face was hidden, but according to the footage, it was your height, and that person placed the paper exactly where you were later seated. You immediately shook your head. Why, no, I want to see the footage. The principal nodded. A few minutes later, the CCTV video played on the monitor. He was silently there. A hooded figure entered the classroom. The face could not be seen. The person's weird, height, even the way they walked, they looked incredibly similar to yours. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Why, no, you whispered. That isn't me. You turned toward the principal. Sir, I swear it wasn't me. The principal remained silent. The evidence spoke louder than your words. A few minutes later, the office door opened. Mr. and Mrs. Min hurried inside. Mr. Min immediately walked to you. Mr. Min, what happened? Before you could answer, the principal spoke. Principal, your daughter was found with a cheating sheet during today's examination. We also have CCTV footage and handwriting analysis supporting the accusation based on university regulations. He paused. Min Wan is suspended for 1 month. Mr. Min's face hardened. Mr. Min, my daughter would never cheat. I know her. Principal sighed. I also find it difficult to believe, but unfortunately the evidence tells a different story. Why, Dad, I didn't do it. Your tears finally fell. Mr. Min gently placed a hand on your shoulder. Mr. Min, I know. He didn't ask another question. He simply looked at the principal. We will take our daughter home. The principal nodded quietly. You leave the office beside your father. Tears silently streaming down your face. Behind them, the office door slowly closed. That evening, the Min family's sleeping room was unusually silent. You had locked yourself inside your bedroom the moment they arrived home. You hadn't spoken to anyone downstairs. Mr. Min sat on the sofa with a serious expression. Mrs. Min looked worried. Mrs. Min, I still can't believe one would ever do something like this. He slowly nodded. Mr. Min, I don't believe it either. After a long silence, he finally spoke. I have made a decision. She looked at him. Mrs. Min, what decision? Mr. Min, mine would not continue studying here. He took a deep breath. I am sending her to the United States. I have already prepared everything. Mrs. Min, so far away, her eyes widened. She is never even lived away from home. How will she manage? He looked toward the staircase. Mr. Min, she is grown up. It's time she learns to stand on her own. 2 weeks later, you got reported a flight to the United States. You didn't tell anyone at the university. The only people who came to see you off were your family and three best friends. The plane disappeared into the clouds, taking you with it. A few days later, the principal received a new evidence. After another investigation, the truth finally came out. A female student had carefully figured your handwriting and disguised herself to frame you. You had been completely innocent all along. The principal immediately called Mr. Min to apologize. Principal, We have discovered the truth. Your daughter was framed. Her suspicions has been cancelled. Please ask her to return. Mr. Min thanked him politely, but he refused. Why, no. Look out the window of your apartment in America. I have already started over here. I'm not going back. I will finish my studies in the US. That chapter of her life was over. Meanwhile, back at Yonsei University, another semester's begun. Students fill the classroom as usual. Jungkook looked toward yours empty seat. Jungkook, so it's true. Why and Red lived. Jimin nodded quietly. Jimin, Yana said she flew to America yesterday. He looked toward Taehyung. Do you want to see her before she leaves? Taehyung didn't even look up from his notebook. Taehyung, no. His answer came instantly. Now I can finally attend class peacefully. There won't be anyone left to annoy me. Jungkook exchanged a glance with Jimin. Neither of them believed him. They acted completely normal in front of everyone. He attended lectures, practiced basketball, studied in the library. He laughed when people joked, but something had changed. The classroom felt strange and quiet. No one argued with him anymore. No one stole the library books before he could. No one challenged him during basketball practice. No one called him Mr. Dark. Even the basketball courts felt empty. Sometimes, without realizing it, his eyes wandered toward the entrance of the classroom, as if expecting someone to burst in red and immediately started arguing with him, but that never happened. Jimin quickly watched his best friend. Jimin, you miss her. Taehyung immediately looked away. Taehyung, I don't. Jimin, you do. Taehyung, I said I don't. Jungkook chuckled softly. Jungkook, keep lying to yourself. Taehyung didn't answer. Instead, his eyes drifted once more to the empty seat near the back of the classroom.